Hello and welcome to Conversation Circle where we impact stories and series and society one honest talk at a time. I am Alice.
And I'm Caitlin. Today's discussion is inspired by the Netflix series Adolescence, a show that dives deep into the roller coaster of teenage life.
And we'll be tackling powerful questions that the show arises. What influences adolescent behavior more, parental guidance or peer pressure?
We'll be focusing on adolescence, where a 13-year-old boy murders another 13-year-old girl.
The show focuses more on why the child did this. We will be focusing on how the parent guide as well as the peer pressure influencing his choice.
It's one of the biggest debates when it comes to teenage development. So let's set the stage with two key questions.
First, how much does the way the parent communicate and set expectations shape the teenage choices?
And secondly, can the pressure to fit in with one's friends override what the teen has been taught at home?
These are the questions adolescents explore through characters, so let's break it down.
Let's start with the influence of parents. In the show, we meet Jamie, a 13-year-old boy who was arrested for murder. During the case, he chooses his father as his parental supervisor, instead of a random person that can be appointed by the police. This already shows how involved his father is in his life, and it influences what happens.
Totally, Jamie's father set strict boundaries and shaped the way Jamie thinks. One of the surface, you think, okay, he is protected, but in reality, Jamie is seeing how powerful men are in the society.
But what we see is that Jamie starts hiding things. He starts going out more, he doesn't tell his parents where he's going, and the pressure to meet parental expectations becomes its own kind of stress, as Jamie wants to deeply be the perfect son his father idolizes.
And it's a good reminder that too much control can backfire. Teens still want autonomy, and even if it needs guidance.
A real life example could be a boy. Let's call him Josh. His parents have a conversation with him, they talk with him and not at him. They set boundaries, but they also listen. As a result, he confides in them even when he makes his own mistakes.
That kind of emotional safety makes a huge difference. Josh still faces peer pressure, but often returns to his values, and you can tell those values have shaped at home.
Now, let's talk about peer pressure because wow, does adolescence dig deep into that? Take, let's say, example, Ava. She starts out quiet, she's autistic, very much her own person.
By that moment she accepted that the cool crowd, everything shifted. Suddenly she was partying, skipping classes, drinking. It's not even who she is, but who she thinks she needs to be to belong.
That's the art of peer pressure. It's not always overt. No one's holding a sign that says change who you are, but it's subtle. What are you wearing? Why don't you drink? Why are you so serious? Things like that.
And it's powerful. Teens obligately weird to seek acceptance from peers. Belonging feels like survival.
Exactly, but not all peer pressure can be bad. Let's say another example. Let's say Ethan. Maybe this is a boy who starts hanging out with the robotics club. His grades improve, he gains confidence, maybe he finds a real passion there.
Yes, peer pressure isn't just always a negative, it's just depending on the group. That sometimes the show capture. While influence isn't black and white.
Some of the most intense moments in adolescence comes from parental guidance and peer pressure, which go head to head.
One of the great examples is Luca. His dad want him to go to pro basketball, while his new friend are more into underground music and skipping practice.
That's what I'm saying. There's other examples. He's torn between living his father's dream and exploring his own identity with his peers, and you really see his internal struggles.
The storyline show how influence is not always simple choice. It is constant tug war, and sometimes neither side fully ignite right or wrong.
Which is so real for many teens today. They're learning how to form their own identity, and often that means pushing back against both sets of voices, parental and peer.
They bring in lit science studies how parental influence is strong in an early childhood, but kids move into teens and peers' influence take, takes the front seat.
But still, that doesn't mean that parents stop mattering. Far from it. Teens who feel emotionally supported at home are more likely to resist negative peer pressure at school or at college, university, things like that.
So it's not a battle. One of the various to others. It's move like a balance. Parental guidance create the foundation, but peer and interaction shape the expectation, the experience.
Exactly, and adolescence reflects that balance perfectly. It shows the complexity of growing up when
Mm.
guidance and pressure both push teens in various directions. A question for the viewers now. Should we focus more on the seriousness of peer pressure in teenage lives?
Yeah, we will hear from Riley on the WhatsApp line. She says that peer pressure is very serious, and kids feel pressured into doing things so that they can fit in and finding a friend group.
I agree with Riley on this one. Kids have this need to fit in, and it explains why they will do crazy things with their friends. Alice, have you ever been pressured into something by your friends?
Yes, I think while I was in primary school, high school, I changed the way I dressed just because I wanted to fit in.
These things like that. So kids will do things to fit in, and
Hmm.
it's normal, and that's peer pressure. That's what happens in our life.
Yes.
That's it.
Wait, what do you think teenager circle influence impact in their life?
I think a teenager relies solely on their friend group for advice. So maybe they go to their friends for help, for guidance, for advice.
Mm.
So if the teenage friends that are drinking and smoking, then you also most likely you will go and you'll also start to drink, you'll also start to smoke because that's your friends and you want to be like them. So after watching the show, there's a question for you. What was your take on it? Did you understand the show? Did you relate to the show? Peer pressure, parental guidance wise, what are your takes on it?
I was actually really heartbroken how, it's a kid. Jimmy was a
Mm.
kid. He just took the hurt that he felt and actually acted out. So I was just thinking back, how many kids are going through the same thing? They don't know how to express what they're feeling. They don't have maybe their dad or mom just don't really understand, who take time to actually speak to them, and they end up doing the worst because we see in Cape Town we hear people gunshot and whatsoever. So yeah, I just hope that in our society we create a place where kids can come and open up about things they don't really talk about. Peer pressure, social media, heartbreak and all.
My final question for you. Do you think what on the scale do you
Mm.
think in your life, do you think your parents play more of a role in your life or your friends?
Ooh, I think my parents did because my dad used to be this he used to love school. So if you're not good at school,
Mm.
he's not happy with you. So I
Mm.
have this expectation, and I wasn't really, really good at school.
Mm.
And I really wanted to just please my dad with my grades and stuff. So I wasn't really into friends or friend
Oh.
groups. I just was like, okay, I have to please my dad, so I have to, study a little bit harder. Sometimes I even used to think my dad never used to love me
Mm.
because I didn't do good in school,
Mm.
but that wasn't true. But I don't think I was peer pressured somehow. I think after I moved away from my dad
Mm.
and into a different environment, yes, I was peer pressured. Yeah.
I agree with the end. I do think in my life, my parents are very accepting, like you do your own thing, everything. But I do believe that peer pressure played a big role,
Yeah.
especially like I am today. So my friends created also added because I also believe that we are each of us, the people we meet, we
Mm.
keep something
From
along
them,
from
yes,
them.
yes.
So we made up of everyone we've met, stuff like that. So yeah, that's interesting to hear your side of it as well.
Yeah. If you have not watched the show, please go and find out about Adolescence on
Adolescence
Netflix.
on Netflix. Yes, it's on Netflix. But this was just our take on peer pressure, our take on parental guidance, our own bits and pieces that we added in. But definitely go watch the show and maybe come back to us.
Hey, in your opinion, why do you think influence teenagers more? Is it peer pressure or parental guidance?
Between peer pressure and parental guidance. I believe it is more parental guidance because if parents tell a child how to escape certain peer pressures, they'll be able to navigate when they come across peer pressure.
I would say both parents and peers because, like, for my parents, they taught me how to act around my other people, and then with my peers, I get to also like see how they live differently, and that also impacts on my like personality as well.
Okay. I think that both can have quite an influence in someone's life.
Mhm.
Um, should I say from my personal experience? Yeah. I don't think it's necessarily positive or negative that they both can influence you because like I feel like if you surround yourself with good friends and yeah, good peers, then you're good.
I would say it's a mix of both because influences come from everywhere. Um, Parental guidance goes so far because I've seen both situations happening where an individual is in a situation where they know they're not supposed to be doing something that their parents said that they're not supposed to do, and then that voice kicks in and they're like, I'm not supposed to be or I'm not supposed to be doing this, and then at the same time another individual can be in the same situation and then they still decide to go through whatever plan that they have. So it's a little bit of a mix of both. I feel like